Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of If Margaritas Could Talk, the Over 40 Chronicles podcast. I'm your host, Tracy Black, and today my co-host, Kira Wilding, and I are diving deep into celebrity hot gossip and my new book and more. So if you are margarita fresh and your mind is open, just sit back and let's get into it. Hi, Kira. How are you?
Hey, Tracy. I'm really good. I always love to talk about celebrity hot topic tea.
Yep.
Yes, my favorite conversation. How was your weekend?
So good. Well, in BC here, it's still a little rainy, wet, all the fun stuff with that. We have flowers blooming and stuff already, so that's good. How about you?
Good. We had a nice weekend. It was a bit windy Saturday, but I think we're at 12 degrees, so our snow is melting. Sun is shining. Can't complain.
Snow. Oh my God. We get no snow. I think we had 4 days of like a 1.5 feet of snow and then it was gone.
Yeah, but minus 30 and sunny.
There you go.
Yes.
So I wanted to open this show today by starting off with what's new in the celebrity gossip world and, of course, spilling the margarita, which we would never do. And we are starting off with a really weird conspiracy theory about none other than Katy Perry. The conspiracy theory is, and I want to know your thoughts on this, that people think that Katy Perry is JonBenet Ramsey.
I've heard this for years, and it's such an interesting phenomenon. Very interesting. And why is that, though, right? Why do people think Katy Perry is JonBenet Ramsey? Other than they both have that, like that bright, doe-eyed look, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, okay, so this happened on February 27th or something like that. There was an AI-generated video that had surfaced of Ramsey transforming into Perry, dubbed to the song Wide Awake. So somebody, of course, again, lovely AI generation, and somebody put it on her Instagram page, and she responded with the words, "Wait, am I?" and then question mark. You know, with all conspiracy theories, people feed off of whatever other people are saying.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, all the theories that are running rampant saying all this stuff. Now, the one thing that was kind of noted, I guess, back a while ago, that JonBenet, the family, right, the Ramseys, they had actually fake killed. This is what this conspiracy theory is. They had fake killed their daughter so that she could become famous because, of course, it's still sitting unsolved, right? Here we are, how many years later? JonBenet Ramsey would be 35 today. Katy Perry's 40. So this is where this conspiracy theory came in.
Yeah.
And I don't get it.
I don't get it either. And I don't understand why, if that's the conspiracy theory, JonBenet was one of those I don't want to say child star yet, but she was doing a lot of those pageants. Yes, the child pageant. And I've heard this years ago. This isn't new. And it doesn't make sense because, JonBenet was born in 1990. She was murdered in 96, and Katy Perry was born in was born in 84.
Yeah, she's 40 now, I guess.
Yeah.
So like a 5-year difference, which, okay, I just, again,
don't understand what it would gain, because I think that, JonBenet Ramsey probably would have grown up to be something of her own anyways. I don't know if she could sing or what, but it doesn't make sense. Fun fact about Katy Perry. Do you know what her real name is?
I do not. I can't remember. What is it?
It's Kate Hudson. Katy Perry is Kate Hudson. Her real name is Catherine Elizabeth Hudson. And her stage name is Katy Perry. So technically, Katy Perry is Kate Hudson, of no relation to Goldie Hawn's daughter. But yeah.
But here's a funny, what if this is a conspiracy theory where Kate Hudson is actually two people Because Kate Hudson sings now and she's in a band and she's amazing. What if we started our own conspiracy theory that Kate Hudson is actually Katy Perry as well?
And Kate Hudson is John Bonet. We're just starting rumors now. Oh my goodness.
I think that's so funny. Katy Perry came out into the world and then somebody said, "Hey, there's already a Kate Hudson. You can't use that name." Where did this name come from? Here we go with the names again. I think we were just on the last episode we did talking about Meghan Markle's name and then all the things that go with the names with people.
And how many actors, actresses, celebrities don't use their real names? Like so many of them don't. So, but at the end of the
call it a pen name.
Yeah, at the end of the day, there is zero evidence to support this. And yes, John Bonet's murder does remain unsolved. I think when you and I were chatting, I was like, well, they didn't find her body, but they did.
Okay, so my creepy vibe goes up with this whole thing. You're an A-list celebrity, and then somebody's come up with this trash about that you're connected to this, and you are John Benet Ramsey. It's really on the creepy scale. It gives me like a number 10 because nobody wants to hear that. This was such a tragic story of the death of a little girl. I don't know. Yeah. It's just creepy and weird.
It is. And maybe
I don't know where people come up with this stuff.
And maybe that's Katy Perry's way of going, this is so ridiculous. You can't even entertain it. And that's why she's like, oh, am I? Like, how ridiculous is that?
How ridiculous.
That yeah.
And that brings up another point about AI-generated stuff. I think we're going to be seeing a lot of stuff come out of left field about everybody, and specifically because of this exact situation. Yeah, like it's only a matter of time.
It is. AI is can say. Scary already. Like, and there's telltale signs that you can tell it's AI. Like, they haven't been able to figure out how to do the hands properly, and there are certain things that you can look for to tell it's AI. I think it's ridiculous that I have to scrutinize a photo now. Like no longer is that saying true. Like show me a picture or it didn't happen.
Well, I mean, if the photos got Denise tiny baby hands from SNL, then it's not real.
And I'm Denise.
And you know all about the tiny baby hands, so we're not going to talk about that right now.
We'll talk about tiny baby hands later.
Oh my gosh. So up next on the hot gossip scale, we are talking about the one and only Wendy Williams.
Oh, yes.
On March 21st, she was spotted out and about in New York City having dinner. And of course, catching some lenses by the paparazzi after being released from assisted living facility after her dementia diagnosis in 2022. In 2024, she explained she had a frontotemporal dementia and aphasia. And her brother, Tommy Williams, said that she was doing, really well. She was in great shape mentally and physically on March 12th. So, okay, I want to open this up a little bit. Okay, so supposedly the attraction came from her writing some kind of a letter saying, "Help Wendy," and she threw it out the window of this assisted facility situation. And somebody got the letter, and I'm trying to figure all of this out. So how do you go from, of course, okay, let's backtrack. You know that she was put into a guardianship because of it. Let's talk about it.
Are you ready to add a little sparkle to your life? Let me introduce you to Kindred Fusion, the ultimate destination for permanent jewelry. That's right. No more worrying about clasps or losing your favorite pieces. With Kindred Fusion, you can enjoy beautiful, seamless jewelry that is as unique as you are. Imagine a stunning bracelet or necklace that feels like a second skin. Sounds amazing, right? At kindredfusion.com, you can explore a gorgeous selection of styles that fit every personality and occasion. So head on over to kindredfusion.com today and discover the magic of permanent jewelry.
Well, I mean, anybody suffering from any kind of dementia, aphasia, that needs a guardianship, thank God a guardianship is there to protect people. Whether you're old, young, famous, not famous, it's there. She's saying that she is fine now. And if she is fine, and if she goes through those, the testing and she's of sound mind, she can take care of herself. Why have the guardian still there? She's going to have people looking out for her anyway. She's got her brother, she's got friends, she's got everybody looking out. The minute she, starts to, if the symptoms kind of resurface again, yeah, we can place that guardian. But would you want to be, if you were in that situation and somebody stepped in and said, Tracy, you can no longer, make rational decisions, and we need to protect, your assets and everything. We're going to, put a guardianship on you. Thank God there is that out there. But if all of a sudden you have a long period of lucidity where you're going, hey, I don't need to be in a facility. I don't need somebody telling me what I can and can't do with my own assets, my money, then yeah, I think that if all the checks and balances are there, they don't need to. And she shouldn't be locked up. Nobody should be locked up.
No. From the relationship world of dementia itself, I'm familiar with it because my grandmother had it before she passed. And there does become a point where they have the incapacity to be able to care for themselves, and the incapacity to recognize whose family, who's, blah, blah, blah. Now, here's the one question that I do have is, who originally put her in this guardianship in the first place? I know her son had come out and said, due to the longevity of alcohol and drug use, this is what, forged forward the onset of dementia, which of course, yeah, okay, I get that. But I'm still a little bit unclear. Even the producers were stepping up. I never really was like a big fan of her show, but at the odd time I'd catch it. And her facial expressions always used to confuse me because they seemed very erratic, and her eyes were super big all the time. But it's just things that I picked up, and I'm going, is she okay? Right? And then the way that she would talk about certain things and what have you. Again, I was never a super Wendy Williams fan. I know that, what's the gentleman from TMZ that owns TMZ? He had a big part.
Well,
you know who I'm talking about.
I know exactly
the guy.
who you're talking about. Yep.
Yeah, he was pushing him. He was interviewing her at least weekly and saying, she's fine. I've interviewed her so many times. She's of sound mind and body. She answers the questions, no problems. We have really in-depth conversations about a few different things, yada, yada. And he didn't believe that it was necessary for her to be there. So maybe there was something about, maybe he pushed some of it. I don't know. But all I know is she threw this note out the window to say, help Wendy.
Yeah.
And this is how the whole thing started.
Harvey Levin of TMZ.
Yeah, there you go.
Well, regardless, if you are showing signs, and I would sure hope that the proper psychological evaluations, she's gone through those. And
yeah,
I mean, and if they're not, and if these are just made on allegations of people that want to see her locked up for whatever reason, or think because she's had a drug and alcohol abuse in the past, then that is wrong. That is absolutely wrong.
The funny part of it is kind of her response to a lot of the paparazzi, snapping the photos and stuff. She was seen in Miami airport in a scooter, and they didn't take some of the best photos of her. So that's kind of what's out there. The photos aren't great. So then it leads you to kind of think, okay, maybe there's something there, but it doesn't really make a difference if there is or if there isn't. If she was cleared and had, passed all the testing to be able to come out, I think that's fabulous for her, because I have this firm thought, and maybe I think you might agree with me on this one, that somebody locks you up because you're mentally not great, maybe. Is that a form of help? I don't think so. And if you're doing harm to yourself, that's a little bit of a different situation. In her case, if your mind goes a little off in a different direction, do you need to be sort of housed where your life is just instantly removed and taken away? I don't think that's any form of help, nor is it any form of therapy. I think if anything, it probably makes the situation worse.
I think it would as well. It would as well. Your mother, your sister, your aunt, or even for anybody that's suffering from any kind of mental disorder, whether it's Alzheimer's or any kind of aphasia or anything. Locking people up or putting them in a place where they don't have some kind of free will is inhumane.
100%.
Yeah. So I hope Wendy Williams gets better. She gets the treatment she needs. She lives a long life and is happy.
This will just knock your sock off. She made a statement and said, I am well, I am alive. I had my body and my boobs done when I was in my 20s, so things are still really great. And I'm like, okay, well, there you go. If that's the basis that you're forming it on, and if things are where they still are and should be, then congrats on that.
You got your body, you got your boobs. Good for you.
It'll be interesting to see what happens with her next. I think she was on like a Good Morning talk show where they did a little bit of an interview with her most recently, but I don't know the details of that. But we'll see what happens next with her, where she goes. But I'm good. Congrats, Wendy Williams, on getting out.
Best of luck to you. What else is going on in the news, Tracy?
Okay, so next up, social media, because of If Margaritas Could Talk, we are out there on Instagram. So I see all the Instagram stuff. I see all the posts. We follow a certain level of celebrities that are on there just to keep the scoop on what's going on with people and what they're posting. Justin Bieber, he's up the topic conversation right now. And of course, he's a Canadian and we love our Canadian folks, but something is up with this young man who's now a father of 7-month-old Jack Bieber. And some of the online posts and things have been a little bit alarming because fans are truly concerned. I've seen some things where I was like, this is not good. And sort of just to quickly backtrack, Justin Bieber, when he was a little bit younger, sort of got into the drug world and outright stated, hey, there was a point where I thought I was going to die because I was smoking a blunt the moment I woke up and popping pills just to exist on a daily basis. And when he was about 19, I'd say, he was part of, like, you'd see him at the Floyd Mayweather fights and he'd be in the background coming through when they were heading to the ring. And he was just blitzed out of his stinking mind. And you just didn't recognize him. And so then, of course, tours and all the pressures and so on and so forth. He ends up with getting diagnosed with lupus. And I guess the thing is recently he posted on Instagram a few photos of him smoking up. And these photos kind of looked a little deep and dark. And why are we back here again? Yes, we don't have control over other people, but it's a little scary to see some of those things resurfacing. And he wrote on Instagram, I think I hate myself sometimes when I feel myself start to become inauthentic. He says, we all feel sometimes like we're made to feel like we're not enough. And he feels like he always has to change to please people. So there's speculation around his mental health. I don't know. What thoughts on this?
My thoughts with Justin is he became a sensation at such a young age. He was discovered on YouTube and put under the spotlight very quickly, very fast. Just a lot of pressures. You kind of say, wonder he's kind of led to drugs and alcohol. Like that's not a big surprise. He's now getting older. He's married. He's got a child. If any one of our friends, Tracy, if I posted on Facebook, I'm feeling down, I have feelings of self-hate, inauthenticity, I feel unworthy, you're going to rally around me. All my friends and family are going to rally around me. Justin Bieber does this. We don't rally around him.
Yeah.
We're criticizing him. We're Justin Bieber. He's off the rails again. We're not treating him with the love that our friends and family would treat us if we were in that exact same situation. At the end of the day, he's not a kid anymore. How old is he? Anyways,
he's a man now.
Yeah, he's a man.
He's 20.
He's a man.
Yeah.
But look at what he's gone through. And again, you kind of ask, you kind of say, well, no wonder. And for him to be able to identify when he needs help is great. And And If he chooses to do that on social media, you know what? We see it all the time with our non-famous friends. And we congratulate them. We praise them for being brave enough to reach out to people. Well done. You've reached out. Now let's get you some help. Are people doing that with Justin Bieber? I hope so. I hope so.
That's the thing. I think Hailey Bieber kind of spoke up a couple of times, but anyway, his representative just said, he denied everything and said that he's not struggling and with his mental health and substance abuse. But when you're seeing legitimate pictures of him on the internet smoking a big bong, and he's all wrapped up in this big cloud of smoke and and it's dark and his hoodie's on, and then people see him coming in and out in New York or different places in a van, and his clothes are hanging off of him, and it's so much speculation, which is exhausting, right? Because we're not celebrities, so we don't know, but the world just judges. And we've had this discussion so many times about how, maybe we're the odd ducks out. It's been noted. We had some comments on our last podcast about Meghan Markle where somebody said it's all her fault and she's just doing everything for herself. Well, aren't we all doing everything for ourselves? We're just trying to We're just trying to do life.
Absolutely.
And this is a young man who has a family and a wife. He's trying to do life and still exist and enjoy his life. Now, struggling with substance abuse, he went through that already. It's just a little shocking. And so you hope, again, just like you said, that everybody's surrounding him and uplifting him, and hopefully somebody will shut it down and say, enough is enough about this, because he's probably just fine, but the world sees it, in that perspective.
Yep. And you know what, with people like Justin Bieber or, anybody else in that situation, you said, listen, I've spent most of my time in my entire adult life and most of my childhood performing and having these expectations and having high demands on me. I'm going to step back from the spotlight. I'm going to just enjoy my life with Hailey altogether. We'd criticize him just as much. And again, if you and I stepped back from our career because we need to take time out for ourselves, we would be praised for that. If Justin Bieber did it or anybody else, he would be ridiculed. Oh,
I think too, there's a lot of people on the payroll. So there's that extra added pressure when you're a celebrity and you have a lot of people on the payroll that look out for you and want to see music production. I think that was another complaint, is that he hasn't put out a new album in several years now. Yeah. He did end his last tour being unwell, and so he cut that tour short. But again, you can't fault a human being for just saying, a cup is full. And we'll get into that a little bit later. But Justin, you're all right, man. Just keep doing it. You're Canadian. You got strength, bro. You can do it. So up next, this is a fun one. I'm super excited to talk about this one. I thought it was quite funny. So last week, our podcast gets put out on several platforms. So it's Apple Podcast, it's Amazon Music, it's iHeartRadio, coincidentally. iHeartRadio had their music awards last week, and Mariah Carey was honored and got the Icon Award. Did you happen to catch it?
I didn't see it, but I know the story.
Okay. So there's Mariah Carey, Miss Queen herself, sitting in the front row. Mooney Long and Tori Kelly both performed medleys of her songs. And the camera consistently caught Mariah. The camera zooms in, and she had some interesting facial expressions. And so the world, of course, of gossip puts it out there that she's unimpressed with the song medleys that are being sung by these two incredible artists. And they're zooming in, and it's, of course, not the best lighting, not the best all the things. And Mariah's really big about the lighting's got to be perfect, my hair's got to be perfect, the dress has got to be perfect, all the things have to be perfect, or she's not okay.
Yeah.
So here we are. The world then pipes up. She takes the stage to collect the Icon Award, and she has a little difficulty talking. So then all the speculation, of course, comes out, and they're talking about, why is she slurring her words, and is she on something? And here we go again. And the first things out of her mouth was, how's the lighting?
Yes.
You know how I feel about the lighting?
Yeah.
I I like total, just true Mariah Carey, right? I was a Mariah Carey fan back in the 90s because the 90s are my jam. And you go. What do you think?
You know what? Yes, she was accused of being unimpressed and disinterested. Mm-hmm. And no, I look at that and I go, you caught her on the wrong moment. And yes, she's a celebrity, and yes, they are honoring her with these 2 songs, and yes, you should know what you're doing, when you're being honored like that, and you should always be on. There should not have been a situation where she's looking unimpressed and disinterested. Mm-hmm. I don't think for a moment that she was. I don't think that there is anything really spontaneous about these things. She knows what songs these ladies are going to be singing. And in fact, they had said that she had actually asked them specifically to sing a certain song. We Belong Together or Always Be My Baby were the 2 songs. So do I think for a minute that Mariah Carey was unimpressed or disinterested? No. Did the camera catch her at kind of an awkward moment? Probably. And the world loves to just turn everything around.
Well, it's interesting that you say that. Like Mooney Long, she got a whole ton of backlash because I think what happened was in that moment when it's live and people are watching it and you're seeing the cameras panning back and forth and you're seeing this expression on Mariah's face, and it's almost as if people were their perception watching was that she was unaware that these women were singing her songs. So people were piping up saying, oh, maybe she's mad because maybe somebody sings it better than she does. I mean, there was all this speculation, right? So Mooney Long pops up on Instagram and says, why am I getting all this backlash and why am I getting roasted when Mariah actually came to me and asked me to sing this song? So again, she's having now to defend herself on Instagram. And Mariah, went up and got the award and had a little difficulty speaking and getting through that moment. But at the end of the day, we all sit here as observers and just watch the entertainment because really, truly, isn't that what it is?
Absolutely it is. And at the end of the day, Mariah Carey has never been known, or at least I've always not really known her to be a really smiley, happy person. She's got that resting bee face most of the times. Mm-hmm. So yeah, she's not going to be sitting there clapping her hands and, jiving along to her music. She's going to look like she's not happy because that's typically how Mariah Carey looks.
That's right.
I think she's got an amazing range. She's got one of the biggest ranges in musical history. She is an amazing singer. Yeah.
Well, I know there was a lawsuit against her about her Christmas song that it had been duped from another previous artist. And apparently that lawsuit went away and she's no longer being charged with that because the findings were.
Oh, this is her standard Christmas song.
Yeah, All I Want for Christmas. But Mariah, she got the Icon Award. Good for her.
Yep.
And she will always continue to be an icon, of course.
Oh, absolutely.
For everything that she does. I think she's doing a tour 2025. I think she's doing an South Asian tour. She's doing China, Philippines, a bunch of areas that she's never actually performed in. So which will be really exciting for all those people that are going to see her.
Good for her.
So up next in the hot news, this one I love.
Yeah.
Love, love, love. This one is, guess what? March 23rd. It was the 35th anniversary of the movie Pretty Woman.
Oh, yes.
Yes. And so many great facts about the movie. Let's get into it.
You've got the facts. What are the facts? I love that movie. I love Richard Gere. I love Julia Roberts in it. It's such an iconic movie.
The original movie was based on Ladies of the Night. Ladies of the Day or Night, I guess. I don't know. Anyway, sorry, guys. I don't know what you call them. I shouldn't have maybe said that word. I may have to take it out. Anyway, it was originally based off of a worker lady that was found in the dumpster somewhere. And now the original name of the movie. So as you know, Richard Gere co-stars with her in it. And there's all sorts of really incredible scenes that are iconic. He supposedly is to pay her $3,000 for the night to have her escort him to, So the original director, he was actually going to call the name 3000, which is kind of okay because of the fact that he was going to pay her $3,000. Now, it didn't end up becoming that because then they wanted to make it a little bit not so transactional, so to speak, right? So get this. Molly Ringwald was actually the original cast for the role for Vivian, of course, and she turned it down. So imagine Pretty Woman with Molly Ringwald.
And, you know, so many times we hear nobody would be able to play that movie other than the person that played that movie. Could you imagine anybody else playing Forrest Gump other than Tom Hanks? Right? Could you imagine anybody other than Tom Cruise playing Maverick in Top Gun? But we don't know anybody else that's going to play him. If Molly Ringwald really did play Vivian in Pretty Woman, that's what we would know. And we would actually say, could you imagine anybody else playing that role? No,
True.
Oh my God, she is just the perfect Vivian. We wouldn't sit there and go, Julia Roberts would have been a better choice for that. So, but I 100% agree with you. She was Vivian. Julia Roberts nailed that role. And Richard Gere nailed that role.
Do you remember how hot Richard Gere became? He was in a series of movies around that sort of same time.
Yep.
And he was the hot commodity. He was in lots of different movies. You know, when he used to stand in the grocery store lineup and the National Enquirer and all the magazines that were like paparazzi magazines, he was on the cover of every single one of them as the hottest dude.
Oh yeah, he was,
and all the ladies were really, they were all about Richard Gere.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you know this, but the necklace box scene where he sort of snaps it shut, I think we talked about this.
Yeah.
That was totally unscripted, I think, wasn't it?
No, yeah, it totally was unscripted. Richard Gere was playing a little prank on Julia Roberts. And so he opened up the box, and then as she went to kind of look for it, he snapped it shut. And she turned around, kind of looked at the camera and did that big Julia Roberts open mouth laugh. The directors loved it because it was so authentic that they kept it in. Yeah.
Right. Well, interesting other fact, when they shot, I think it was that scene, afterwards, it was her birthday, the day that they had shot that specific scene. And she actually had an apartment in New York at the time. They all went down to her apartment and had a glass of champagne and then said, let's go back to work to celebrate her birthday. Isn't that funny?
Fun.
Yes.
See, they're real people.
The good thing about it, which I love, is they did turn the movie into a Broadway musical. And I would have loved to seen it because I love Broadway, anything theater. And it ended up, I think, in 2018, Chicago adopted it. The city of Chicago. Good on them. So Pretty Woman, 35 years old. That's crazy.
Yes. And Richard Gere is 75 years old right now.
Wow.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah.
I you know, one of the things I love about Julia Roberts, she's always was kind of one of my favorite actresses, and she's done some really good stuff. Of course, her and her bestie, they did that most recent movie that's on Netflix. And again, I don't know why I'm quoting this right now, but that's what it is. She's still acting and still killing it.
Oh, she is. Good. Absolutely. She's just stunning.
Yes. So in terms of hot topics, is there anything that you would like to kind of talk about?
Well, there is one hot topic I'd like to bring up. Gee, I read a book this weekend. What was this book called? It was an amazing author. New Year, New Me. That was your book. You are a best-selling author, and to think I know you, Tracy. No, you know what? I did read it this weekend. It was really good. What inspired you to write that book?
I'll just give you a little brief explanation about it. It started out originally when I used to write down sort of daily affirmations in my journal and things that helped me getting through moments, right? Moments where you're like, yeah, this is difficult or challenging. And life, you know, when life shows up, things come at us in unexpected ways sometimes, and we don't really know how to process them. So I, in my life, have always tried to stay positive, but there was just days where, of course, as you know, I lost my daughter, unfortunately, 7 years ago, unexpectedly. And you just don't know how you're going to navigate life in really traumatic situations like that. So under the advisement of doctors and, therapists, it was like, start, journaling and writing down daily affirmations of things that will help you to keep your mind at ease with where you're processing things. The other aspect of it, through the years, I've been always inspired by Brené Brown. She's really big into living in a vulnerable state and putting yourself and your life out there. I just always took her talks and her viewpoints. It just sort of encouraged me to dig a little bit deeper. So when I started writing this book, I had so many things written down for the last 6 years. I had started a different book, which is still in the making, that I was supposed to put out there, which had to do with my grief journey with my daughter. But anyway, I ended up just trying to find the deepness and look a little deeper into things that would lead me to better methods of trying to continue to grow my own acceptance, continue to grow my own confidence. We as moms, we teach our children personal development, but we're the biggest advocates for all those things, but sometimes we don't actually use them ourselves.
Yeah.
Especially when life gets a little bit overwhelming. So that was sort of the inspiration. Was I feel like I need to put something out there that I can look at every single day, and hopefully it will help others to look at who don't really know how to identify when things are overwhelming in life, right?
Yeah. Or even having where do I even start? Give me a starting point. And I think that's what the book did. When I finished reading it, I was like, there's some good information in there to just to get you started on that journey.
The core premise of it and the purpose of it, it's a two-part book outlining New Year as the beginning. And it's everyday essential tools that you use in helping yourself or other people make positive changes in their life, and how to break old habits, right? Old thought patterns. And those are the things that we do, that we use and think about on a daily basis, which prevents us from creating change. The second half of the book is called New Me. That essentially shows you the outcome of putting what you've learned in the new year. You've learned those tools, it's repetition, and the benefits that come from creating those changes. So the overall concept is basically, you're using the terminology let me method of thinking, which comes internal empowerment. So metaphorically, you're replacing words like let me instead of or in place of I can't or I won't. And that's a hard thing for a lot of people to break, right?
Absolutely. How does your book differ from any other self-improvement strategies? Like, why would your book, why would I want to pick up your book as opposed to, say, Mel Robbins' Let Them? Because it's very similar. Let me, let them.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Well, as you know, I did an episode on the let them theory. There's not a lot of cross-reference, but methodically, I think some of it is just a lot about how the thought processes are. It's shifting from the reactive mindset to a proactive one, essentially, which both, any self-help or empowerment type style of book is really, it's about mindset. It's about teaching and encouraging people to take ownership, take ownership of your goals, make conscious, better decisions in our daily lives. And it's like promoting a shift in your personal responsibility, your decision-making and growth. Over the years, I don't know how many times, even in the other previous podcasts, we've talked about it, where I said, if you want to do it, just do it. Every day I try to post something that's positive, and it doesn't necessarily mean it's referencing me. It just means it could be something that really resonated, and maybe it might resonate with other people. But the method behind my book comparatively to other books is repetition and allowing yourself to give yourself permission. That's the number one takeaway. You don't need permission from anybody to make choices in your life, whether you're a mom with 1 kid or 5 kids, or you are a career woman, you are choosing not to have children, your career is set forth in front of you, that's what you want to do. But people always, and we're all guilty of doing it, where we always feel this need to not necessarily look out for ourselves because we're afraid of How's it going to look? Or am I too selfish making that decision? Well, shifting your decision making and growth doesn't have to be about selfishness at all, right? I sort of broke it down. The L stands for letting go of limiting beliefs for yourself. So saying that you can't do it, or I won't do it, or I don't have the capability of doing it. You can do whatever the heck you want.
Yeah. Or I'm not good enough that's my big one. I'm not a big self-help book person. I don't have a bookshelf full of self-help books. But I really liked your book, and it definitely will be one on my bedside table, because I read it and I went, it's a good reminder. We don't practice what we preach a lot of the times. So it is a definitely good reminder. It's, I'm going to say it's an easy read. The print is big, which I need because of my old eyes. And it's easy to read. It's, you don't open it up and have a million words and you're just like, oh God, this is too daunting. Yes. So I found it to be a nice, easy read, something that I didn't want to put down. And I think I read 3/4 of it in the first night and went, I enjoyed it. So yeah, well done. I encourage everybody to take a look at that book.
I think I'm curious, because reading it from my own perspective and hearing feedback from, friends, family, people that have purchased the book, did it align with your beliefs? Did it challenge your beliefs or any of your personal growth where you thought, hey, I could really use this tool and adapt it into my life?
You know what it did for me was it was a good reminder, because if somebody tells you, and just go out and do it. You've been told that how many times in your life, and you're like, yeah, I know. But we still have that insatiable need to please people. We don't want to disappoint people. We're going to say yes to everything. And then we're going to struggle with it because you don't have the time, you don't have the bandwidth, you don't have the capacity, but you can't possibly say no to somebody who's asking you to do something. You want that recognition from your friends and family. You want that acceptance. You're constantly pleasing people to the detriment of yourself. So what I found that book does was it gives you permission to say no. It gives you permission to back off and say, hey, I can't do this right now. I don't have time, and be unapologetic for it. And if you were to told me that, like if you were to tell me this last week, I go, yeah, I know that, Tracy, I know. But do we really practice what we preach? No, right. I don't think we do. So it's that good reminder. It's staring at you, words on a page that you're reading, and you're going, no, I do need to practice that. I do need to be more aware that I can say no when it doesn't suit me.
It's interesting. I had posted a Facebook post, probably I want to say about maybe 3 months ago. And I had posted, let me walk through this next part of life's journey. Mm-hmm. And you responded by saying, let me walk with you. And that was the first time that I fully understood in that moment what that support looks like. Because over and over and over again, and I don't know about you, but women always take it from the top, where we have all these, we wear 50,000 different hats as moms, wives, career people, blah, blah, blah. Everybody has these high level of expectations in everything that you do because you're successful at so many things. And I finally, for the first time in 55 years now, because I just turned 55, when I saw you post that helped me understand that clearly I am expressing myself and somebody understands it for the first time, the way that I need to be understood. Mm-hmm. And it was powerful. Like those words of you responding and that level of support was powerful for me. And all it did is reaffirm that when you're moving forward in your life, I said over and over, this is my year of redemption, loss, breast cancer, all the things, other things. And you go, moving forward with consistency. The book is about consistency and just recognizing the simplest of things can make the biggest change and elevate your mindset through daily habits. There's an interesting perspective. When you all lack confidence as a woman or as just a human being, man, woman, child, teenager, whatever, the one thing that we all need is consistent support. And I thought of it from this perspective. And that was the launching point for me when I said, this is exactly what I've been trying to talk about. Because it's not that I don't agree with her book, the let them theory. I was unpacking it. What does it mean? We are letting people just be who they are and do what they do. Yes. But what does that mean for us? Yes, there was discussion about us as individuals. I sort of disagreed at some points through the book because I felt like you're giving permission for people to kind of be not good people and accept that. And we're just supposed to turn a blind eye and accept that. So that's where I felt differential about it.
Yeah.
But there was one thing that stood out the most. And I thought, if you're ever standing in front of a mirror and you're feeling in that moment that you're not confident, you look at yourself, you put your toothbrush down, you look at yourself in the mirror. And what do? You give yourself a high five in the mirror. And if you're having a bad day, in that moment you wake up, you're feeling anxiety, you're feeling panic attack, you got stress, it's coming. Mm-hmm. Give yourself that high five. What does that trajectory do? It changes your whole outlook. Because when we give high fives to our friends and family and people, we're celebrating something, right? It's like it's a super good, incredible feeling like, congratulations, keep going, just do it. And all of a sudden you're forced to do that to yourself in the mirror. It changes that moment. Mm-hmm. And so in writing the book, that was the message. That's the message behind it, is we can do hard things. We can do all the hard things. And we just have to grant ourselves permission to be able to do it.
And wake up every morning giving yourself a high five.
High five, baby.
Yeah,
just
absolutely.
Do it. Well, you guys, I thank you, Kira, for today. And I hope, some of our listeners can apply perhaps maybe the Let Me method right now. Get your copy of my book in Amazon. You can pick it up in Barnes & Noble, Chapters, Indigo. Anywhere you buy books, you can just request the book. They can bring it in for you, or you can purchase it on Amazon globally, Amazon.com, Amazon in the UK, Amazon Canada, whatever. I'm grateful, and this has been fantastic. So, Kira, anything to add?
No, other than thank you for writing the book. Thank you.
Oh, thank you for reading it. It's my pleasure. There's more books to come, but
I can't wait.
This kind of book. That is all for today's episodes of If Margaritas Could Talk. Thank you so much for tuning in. And don't forget to join us next week. I am going to be talking with special guest Lisa Marie NP. She is a nurse practitioner. We are talking about keeping love hot in the bedroom, baby. If you have something to add, please drop a comment or send us a message. We would love to hear from you. Until next time, keep laughing, keep living. And remember, if life gives you lemons, you
make margaritas.
Make a margarita. Please follow, like, or buy us a coffee on your favorite listening platform. We can also be found at ifmargaritascould.com, Podcast Diva. Cheers, everybody. And cheers, Kara, for another wonderful
Cheers. Episode.